Okay. So now I want you to bring me to bring me back to that story of what you learned about the masters that created the Japanese garden. Like how long did they have to train for it, and that story of the one non-Japanese. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The one who founded.
Yeah, can you tell me about that?
Yes. Um, uh, Following the trail of how the Japanese gardens are created, because I just found it so moving and so sacred. It's almost like if there's a craft that I would go to, I would want to learn how to create Japanese gardens. So I really followed the trail and I did research and I came across, and I was already enrolled to
Mhm.
learn about Japanese gardens for like 1.5 months. Okay. And I already paid and everything. But somehow the storm that happened in Japan, that was that's
It's okay.
that's my storm. That's
Okay,
Einstein.
Einstein, your dog. Okay.
My doggy. He has been listening here for quite some time. So because of that storm and because of of my mom being sick, okay, um I canceled it. I didn't go there. So but then that passion kept me, working and looking at it. And one of those things that I read, I realized that even if I attended that class, that wouldn't make me a Zen gardener. That wouldn't make me a traditional Japanese gardener. It was more for my knowledge and familiarity, and an excuse for me to really go inside all of those maybe 20 gardens all over Kyoto and Nara, from the backstage, being able to go inside the monks, the places of the monks that created these gardens in the Buddhist temples, and see how they do it, even have tea with them. So that was, for me, that was heaven. That was joyful for me.
Hold on.
um I was so enamored with Japanese gardens because of the experience I had when I went to Kyoto and to other places in Japan. There's just something about the Japanese garden that just took my breath away. Like literally, I would cry, from not only from the beauty but from the purity and from the mastery. I just experienced the multidimensionality of the Japanese garden, represented as a human accomplishment of the spirit. And because of that, I did a lot of research and wanted to somehow, I didn't know what I was gonna get. I just wanted to know how to learn how to do a Japanese garden, and if there's any craft that I would, devote my life to, that would be creating a Japanese garden. And so I was able to research and came across a program in Japan, in Kyoto, that allowed for a small number of professionals from all over the world to come together for um, 3 weeks
Mhm.
and learn about the Japanese garden in practice. Like you're gonna see the Japanese gardens. So, and there would be a theme and there would be an application. Well, the cost was quite high, but miraculously, you know, I got I got the money I needed. Okay. So I ran and looked for it. And then all the professionals that applied in the previous classes were like landscape architects, horticulturists, for people in the industry for a long time. Here I am. I'm not even an accomplished gardener. I'm just a lover of gardens. So I quickly applied, and then what I wrote from my heart as my purpose for I wanted to apply, because they're going to be screening applicants. I said I've been in disaster management for 3 years now in the Philippines, and there's something about the sacredness of the experience of gardens that allows for one to be in one's state of inner peace. an experience of the sacred quickly by just walking through a garden. So I was seeing how in working with communities to create resilience and for us to learn more that resilience really comes from within. You know how after we've set all our contingency measures on how to prepare for any disaster coming in, what would really make the most difference is our sense of being. And having gardens like that in a community would immediately convey intuitively to people what that means. Like, so I wanted to discover how does one create a space like that. So I wanted to do that. And luckily, I got a letter that says I qualified and I was invited. I was to be part of this small group of people for that year.
Wow.
So moving forward, I went there and prepared, but it didn't happen because the biggest storm happened in Japan, and my mother was in the hospital, so I had to forego everything. But my passion and love for Japanese garden grew even more. So I just read and watched all YouTubes and everything that I could lay my hands off to learn. And I was sent certain materials by the university. I started to read about them. Now,
What
I learned
about the masters, the teachers?
the teachers and the masters. Well, I learned.
Hold on.
Okay,
Start again. No,
okay,
okay. I'll
okay,
start again with a question. Okay. Uh,
okay, okay,
oh,
okay. I learned that you cannot learn how to do create a Japanese garden by attending a 2 month class. Even those who study in the universities of Japan, they're Japanese students who want to learn how to do Japanese gardens cannot learn them by running a 4 year course, attending a 4 year course in
wow.
the university.
You can't really
You
learn it in
cannot
the
do
classroom.
that. That's not even so. All the professors in Japan that are talking about Japanese gardens are talking from their experience as researchers,
Mm.
educators, and observers. So they create knowledge coming from observation and readings. Okay, so they're like commentators and chroniclers of how Japanese gardens are created, but they are not Japanese gardeners.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a minimum of 15 to 20 years minimum
Mm-hmm.
to begin to know how to create a Japanese garden. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So those who actually go about and create gardens outside, who are non-Japanese or who are Japanese but have not really had the experience of creating, learning from the master, are not really true Japanese gardeners. Okay. Why is that so? Um, the late Japanese gardener of Kyoto, known to have created much of Kyoto gardens, and even the Buddhist monks who have created those gardens in their temples, attest that gardens are created in the moment. Okay, there is no hard and fast rule on how to make compositions. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because what you have is the moment. The material that you use
Mm-hmm.
is a material that you cannot replicate in another garden. The
Right.
rock that you have is the rock unique of this moment. The plant that you will plant is unique unto itself with
Mm-hmm.
its own behavior. The water that you will allow to flow never passes through the same way again. Okay. So everything is passing through. So
Uh-huh.
what you know to be true in this moment is no longer true the next time.
Mm-hmm.
That is a mastery you will only learn through practice.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot say that I'm learning these conclusions from a master, and so I'm going to write it down. I'm going to apply it and create a garden.
Mhm.
because those things that went into a master's way of being and discernment to create that composition, which is actually multidimensional, if you've experienced it through Japanese garden, will not be present in your garden unless you went through the process of like loving someone,
Mhm.
knowing someone through the years of being together,
Mhm.
such that you know how to position yourself or from which angle to appreciate that person or
Mhm.
what gift, how you present a gift to that person when he or she is lonely
Uh-huh.
as against when he or she is joyful.
Mhm.
Those are moments that cannot be spoken of.
Mhm.
Only someone who has lived with that person through time would be able to have that discernment.
Mhm.
So in a garden, there's really no absoluteness of truth.
Mhm.
Only the weathering of time ages you into the wisdom that you have in your discernment to be able to make a decision on how to position elements of garden such that even if you're coming from here, you know that when you position the rock there and the tree here, you know that in every degree of a 360-degree angle that you pass through that sculptural piece of a garden, you understand the composition altogether. Even if you're just sitting here and you're arranging, you know exactly what that arrangement would look like if you go to the west or to the east, or if the sun would be shining, or winter would be coming, or there would be blossoms everywhere. So all those and the perspectives, all those come into fruition with the aging of wisdom of a master that is totally engaged moment by moment to what he is doing, what he is working with, and what is unfolding before him, both inside and outside.